From Penn State University, this is Pennsylvania Inside Out, connecting communities to a world of creativity and knowledge. Here's tonight's host, Piasio.
Good evening. Coming up on Pennsylvania Inside Out, an art display that evokes such rich traditions as Byzantine mosaics and Moorish architecture. But first, a look at the potential smoking ban in Pennsylvania. Legislators have been trying unsuccessfully to pass a smoking ban for all public places in Pennsylvania, and last spring the bill appeared to be closer than ever to passing. But with the House and Senate unable to agree on the strictness of the ban, the bill was shelved until this fall. We recently spoke with the current president of the Pennsylvania Medical Society, Dr. Mark Piasio, about the possibility of the bill passing this spring and the reasons why a smoking ban would be beneficial for Pennsylvanians. 27 states and all of Pennsylvania's neighbors except West Virginia now have adopted some version of clean indoor air bills, banning smoking in most indoor workplaces. Tell us what the situation is in Pennsylvania and what all of these other states are doing.
Well, right now in Pennsylvania, we are debating it. At least it's up for discussion. The governor brought it up in his healthcare, in his RX for Pennsylvania, prescription for Pennsylvania, and it's a very strong ban. And it's the ban that we as an organization support for all the obvious reasons. What we're trying to do is essentially ban smoking in all public places, specifically indoor places, and with a few exemptions for your own personal home or certain establishments that sell tobacco only. However, taverns, bars, casinos would be smoke-free. And for more reasons than we could probably do in this segment, it's time to do that. Our neighbors have done that, and they've seen no ill effect. And I think it's high time that Pennsylvania, a state that's always been in the lead when it comes to patient safety, when it comes to data collection, we are one of the gold standard states when it comes to looking at health care for our whole populace. And this is just one part of what you need to do if you're going to take your state seriously as a healthy environment. So
what is the case for protecting all Pennsylvanians from secondhand smoke? What can we say definitively about the dangers of secondhand smoke?
Well, here are some of the unfortunate statistics about smoking. We feel, or data shows, 53,000 Americans die from secondhand smoke a year. 20,000 Pennsylvanians die from smoking a year. Smoke has been classified by the FDA as a Class A carcinogen. And for those that don't know that, that's equivalent of radon, formaldehyde, and asbestos. We see in our emergency rooms 1,000 children presenting with asthmatic attacks related to secondhand smoke. 300,000 on medications alone because of exposure to secondhand smoke. So, as we said earlier, if you choose to smoke, that may or not be your own business. But when that starts to affect those around you, it becomes a society concern. Our particular concern is the employee. I myself have worked, we've all had jobs prior to our current occupations. I worked in a restaurant establishment many, many years ago where smoking was everywhere, and I knew how I felt at the end of that night as a non-smoker. And it would have been awfully nice back then to not have to endure that. But those who work in those environments, we're looking to protect their health. They should not have to choose between a job, health care, retirement, and the length of their life.
The House and the Senate are at odds on this. Why is that the case? How do they differ?
Well, I think the difference probably comes in from some lobbying from the Tavern Association that are concerned that if there's no smoking, people aren't going to come to their bars. The Restaurant Association has found that not only is that not the case, that's the opposite case. Their business went up when they went smoke-free. And most of them want a standard across the state so they don't have to try and figure out what's in one restaurant, what's in another for change, and also to try to figure out, well, what's going to be best for my business. One simple rule would be fine, and they're okay with a smoking ban. Certainly from the experience in New York, New Jersey, and Delaware has been that their business improves when they have smoke-free restaurants. So some of the resistance is coming from the taverns, and some is obviously coming from the new casino business that's going on in the state. If you go to any of the casinos with the slots, it's pretty much people pulling levers and smoking a lot of cigarettes. Well, that's a significant problem for those Pennsylvanians who we're going to ask to work there. And we should not have to be, again, exposed to such a health care risk in your work, which is completely unnecessary.
Now, the Restaurant Association and other business organizations, also public health organizations like the Pennsylvania Medical Society, which you represent, have formed a coalition and are campaigning in their radio ads and newspaper ads, getting people up to date really on this issue. What's the role of the public, regardless of how they feel about this?
Well, the public is always ultimately their role. Those of us who are put in leadership positions, we are there to bring that point of view to the public. The public, at least in our research, has spoken that 60–70% would prefer smoke-free environments. And that obviously reflects probably the demographic of smokers out there. But I find it terrible that after all the money we've taken from the tobacco industry to start to decrease smoking in the state, we've made almost no gains. We still got 20-something%, and even the incidence of smoking in our teenagers seems to be a little bit on the uptick. So having smoke-free environments, not only does it help the business, not only does it help the employee, but for the smoker to no longer have places where they're able to smoke easily helps them to quit. Now, as a physician, that's my ultimate job. Now, granted, we have a lot of tax revenues from tobacco, but those are revenues I'd like to just soon see go away, because when I look at the damage that it causes to our patients, not even just pulmonary damage, when you look at all the host of diseases that are related to smoking, whether it's cardiac disease, stroke, renal disease, all the vascular issues, the loss of fingertip, the neuropathies. For me as an orthopedic surgeon, trying to get somebody to heal a fracture in a smoker, particularly if it's a major trauma, is almost impossible. And we now know that it's directly affected to smoking. So taking that 20 or so % that we still have smoking, we're concerned about them too. So the ones that want to smoke said, look, this is for your health as well. It'll be easier for you to quit if you're not in environments where there's excessive smoke. You won't be getting secondhand smoke, and by not being able to smoke as easily, you're more likely to quit.
In fact, every year 42 to 52% of current smokers try to quit, and you're saying if they can go have a beer without smoke, they'll probably be more inclined to stay quit or to be successful.
Right. Part of the ability to quit smoking, it's you're looking at a cultural change for someone. It's the same as losing weight. You've got to make some major lifestyle changes to maintain a healthy lifestyle. You basically got to change your lifestyle. So if you're in environments where it's easy to smoke, where you can go and you don't change what exactly your everyday regimen is, it's much more difficult. But when you find that you can't smoke at work, you can't smoke in the bar where your friends are, it's easier to put them down. And we've seen success in those areas. And once you quit smoking, as most of your viewership probably knows, these are all reversible issues. Your risk of heart attack, your heart disease, renal disease, pulmonary disease, they start to improve day one. So all the damage that you can accumulate over time is still reversible should you decide to quit.
Is there room for compromise on this?
Well, I think the governor gave a little wiggle room, but realistically, as you know, when you're trying to advocate for what's good healthcare policy, what's good even fiscal and economic policy, we estimate $5 to $6 billion unnecessary health costs in Pennsylvania alone, purely related to elective smoking.
And this bill will come up when?
Well, that's always the issue. You know, I'm sure that the Senate bill and the House bill are going to have to be reconciled, and I suspect that the governor is going to veto any soft bill that really doesn't make an impact. And we applaud him for that, because when you're looking at all the things he wants to do with health care, the healthy living, you know, being able to take care of chronic diseases, being able to take care of smoking and obesity, and attacking these, you know, in our children and taking it seriously is something we applaud. And we're glad that in the whole host of things, he's able to look beyond the revenue and said, this is what's in the best interest of our citizens for their health and well-being and our long-term costs, and this is where we should be.
All right, well, thanks for talking with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.